This is Mark Leckman, Chairman of the Newbury Human Resources Board. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Diane Doyle.
Yes.
John Lucy.
Here.
John Ferrara. We're holding on John. Anthony Antico.
Here.
Thank you. And anticipated speakers on the agenda, Town Administrator Tracy Blaze. Tracy's with us?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Introduction to the remote meeting. Good afternoon. This open meeting of the Newbury Human Resources Board is being conducted virtually, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, and the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. The order, which you can find posted on the town's website, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely, so long as reasonable public access is afforded, so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not, however, ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment as it is not a public hearing. For this meeting, the Newbury HR Board is convening by a Zoom meeting link as posted on the agenda of the town's website. Meeting materials. All of the materials for this meeting, except any executive session materials, are available on the website, and we recommend that members and the public follow the agenda as posted on the website. Meeting ground rules. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, I will go down the line of board members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. And please remember to speak clearly and in ways that help generate accurate minutes. If members wish to engage in dialogue with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. And finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call. Before we get to that first agenda item, let me ask, has John Ferrara joined us?
No.
I don't see him on the participant screen. No indication of that? Okay, let's forge ahead. We have our quorum. The first agenda item is to approve prior meeting minutes. And Dan, I've got two in front of me here. Am I correct in assuming we still need to approve the minutes from both the June and July meetings, or did we do the June minutes in July?
We did the June minutes in July. It's just
Okay, thank you.
And as a correction, Tony pointed out that the motion to close the meeting was not seconded by Tony because he wasn't here. So that was
Okay,
not Lucy. That was a
okay,
typo.
thank you.
So I've
Thank you
made-
very much.
I've made that amendment.
Thank you. So now we can turn to the minutes of the July 27th, 2020 meeting.
Yes.
Does everyone have those in front of them? Let me ask that we take a couple minutes and do a quick review to make sure there aren't any questions, concerns, commentary. Has everyone had an opportunity to read through the minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
Is there a motion on the floor to accept the minutes as written?
So move.
Is there a second?
A second.
Any discussion? Let me take a roll call vote then to approve the minutes. Diane Doyle,
Yes.
John Lucy,
Yes.
Anthony Antico,
Yes.
Mark Leckman, yes. Thank you. Next order of business on the agenda is employee issues. And I'm not aware of any, but I would, as always, turn the floor to Diane, or in this case, Town Administrator Blaze, to discuss any employee issues that need to come before the board.
I have not been advised of any issues.
Nope.
All right, Diane and or John, as the employee representatives, any issues you're familiar with?
No.
Nothing.
Okay, thank you. Next order of business on the agenda, personnel actions and job vacancies. I think we've had a couple pending that we need to discuss, and perhaps there's some new stuff to discuss as well. Diane, let me ask you what's happening there.
So the open positions that I believe we have at this point is the principal assessor, the council on aging director, and we had a recent resignation of a youth services librarian, youth services technician
In the library?
in the library.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, and also the program coordinator at the council on aging as well. So we have
Okay,
4 open positions.
thank you. Tracy, if I can turn to you, I assume at least a couple of those roll up directly under you, is that correct?
Yes, so the principal, in terms of the principal assessor position, I am actively engaged in interviewing. I've had 3 so far. I have potential, I'm still taking resumes, interviewing as qualified candidates are presented.
Okay.
My hope is by the end of next week to, have reference checks done and have an offer out to someone. I'd like to get that filled as quickly as possible. That's a priority. I do
Great.
anticipate, some challenges as there are currently 7 open principal assessor positions. There have been a significant number of retirements, and as we've discussed in the past, that is one of the positions that is particularly difficult to fill due to the technical nature of the position.
Right.
And the fact
Right.
that people don't generally go to college to become an assessor. So I'm really excited that I had a couple of qualified candidates apply.
Great.
I'll keep you posted on that one. In terms of the COA position, I'm working with Chaz Rudich, who is the chairman of the council on the Council on Aging of the board. And he and I are going through the resumes. I'm hoping the week after Labor Day that we'll start conducting our interviews. I've got to coordinate some scheduled time with him.
Okay.
And he had asked that we hold off on hiring the program coordinator position until the new director is in place, which
Yeah.
made sense to me.
That normally makes sense as long as there's no pressing or time-sensitive need for that position to be filled prior to the director. So, okay, great. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other positions that we need to discuss?
None that I'm aware of.
Okay, Diane, did you have any other questions or comments on what Tracy has just shared?
Nope.
All right, John Lucy, any questions for Town Administrator Blaze on those positions?
No.
I'm sorry, did John say no?
No.
Okay, Tony Antico, any questions for the Town Administrator on that?
No.
Okay, nor do I. Thank you, Tracy. And as always, as we have often offered, the HR board stands ready to help the town administrator or any of her team relative to any open positions. Should you need our services for anything, whether it's job descriptions, whether it's the interview process, classifications, whatever, we stand at the ready to help in any way we can.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. No other commentary on that. We'll move to the next agenda item, which is discrimination and or ethics issues. nothing's come to my attention, I would ask our employee representatives, Diane, anything that has come to your attention?
Oh, nothing.
John Lucy?
Nope.
Tracy, should I assume that's the same with you, or?
Dane,
Okay, thank you. Let's move to safety issues. Deputy Chief Lucy,
None.
anything that any town hall issues that we need to be aware of, Diane, and or library issues for that matter, DPW issues, anything in the realm of safety?
Nope, no.
Okay, other business. You know that Tracy had requested that this be put on the agenda. I think if I can speak on her behalf for just a moment here, she reached out asking if the HR board could be helpful in any potential organizational chart formatting, I guess is the best way to describe it. Tracy wanted to make sure that the organizational chart of the town is up to date, it's current, it's accurate. You know, all the names are in the right blocks, or all the position titles are in the right blocks. And I suggested to Tracy that we'd be more than happy to help her in that regard. But before we took that on, I wanted Tracy an opportunity to speak to it, to see if there's anything pressing or anything that you feel needs to be addressed on what currently exists before we tackle it.
yeah. The last time we had looked at it was a number of years ago, so I thought it might be a good opportunity to have you guys get your eyes on it, look at it. In terms of org charts, I don't know if, you know, we should have more descriptive language, somehow like layering behind the chart. It would, you know, maybe include, trying to think, for example, like Board of Selectmen, that it, you know, you have that at the top of the org chart, but there's no, or Select Board, I should say, there's no detailed information. If we should start layering in, you know, Select Board, a 5-member Board of Selectmen, and maybe the Select Board Town Administrative Form of Government language, things like that. I don't know if there are things we could do to make it more descriptive and more informational, should someone come in from outside the organization, start new, and ask that deep level of detail. But
Right. I think it's a great question. I mean, org charts in and of themselves are pretty simple matters. You know, it's the chain of command, it's titles.
right.
But, you know, but behind that, well, let me open up. I've got a couple thoughts on it, but let me first open it up to the members of the board to see how they feel about what Tracy's just described as sort of an amplification, if you will, of what these different roles are, what you know, how they fit into the scheme of things, and you know, any other descriptors that might help, whether it's existing or new candidates for these jobs. So Diane, your thoughts?
My thoughts. I mean, the additional information on pages that follow the org chart might be helpful, because in some cases there are direct reports. There's also a dotted line. There are many different ways that the organization comes together. So, I mean, I think that may be helpful in sort of understanding and really putting on paper what the reporting mechanism is, and detailing, because I think oftentimes it comes up, who's able to sign, who has the authority to appoint certain positions. So I think that, you know, would be helpful in terms of, you know, in addition to what we just went through with the whole bylaw and personnel policy manual, you know, developing something that's a working document that shows principal assessor, you know, reports to the finance director, but also reports to, you know, the board of assessors, and how does that all work, and who appoints. So I think that's almost necessary to really fully describe the structure of the town.
Okay, great. Thank you for those thoughts. John Lucy, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the organizational chart, as far as who answers to who, usually it's very, very clear as a visual to see who falls under who. If I'm hearing this right, what we're looking for is kind of going a little bit behind those positions and explaining, maybe even in a bullet form, what they do, what they consist of, what, what they do, what's their purview. Not so much as far as supervisory or ascension, but more about what exactly are the nuts and bolts of what their purview is. If I heard that right, Tracy, is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, I think that's fair. Just to provide an example, if you look at the org chart on its face value, and you looked at someone like the library function, you would see the connection under town administrator, and then there's the board of library trustees, and then you'd see the personnel fall beneath it. But there are mass general laws that dictate that board of library trustees have some separate authorities that maybe aren't identified within the
Right.
Select Board Administrator Act. And we have a few unusual things here, like you have an elected board of health and elected board of assessors, yet operationally the personnel report to the town administrator under the act. So
Right.
So basically, if I'm hearing right, what I envision is you have your blocks of your organizational chart, and if you could actually have an index number of block 1, 2, 3, and then have an attachment that kind of goes into detail, as so you can see a spreadsheet. Okay, block 1, whatever the title is, doesn't matter. That one is a reference to everything that might pertain proprietarily to that that particular block. So that makes sense, because you can't get into that kind of detail in just the visual chart. But if somebody wants to delve deeper down, go down into it a little bit further, drilling down, they can say, okay, I want to know about the librarian. And, the corresponding block on that spreadsheet might give more detail. And you can build that as much as things change, as much as you need, without messing around with your organizational chart. So that makes sense.
exactly.
Got it.
Thank you, John. Tony, your thoughts?
My thoughts, as you're speaking about these, all I could think about is when I was in the military, we had obviously chains of command that branched out, and sometimes in a chain of command, you would wonder whether one particular individual actually had that position or not. But the military is great, and in those cumbersome areas, they would create what they call SOPs, standing operating procedures, where certainly, you would have the head of supply in the battalion, the S4, but then again, that branched out to all different areas. So, and also I think about who answers to whom. A lot of this may already, or may not be, but in the town website. And also maybe in the personnel policy manual. So I don't think that you'd have to go and invent every single person in the town to find out to whom they report, etc. Because usually the person to whom you report is the one who has responsibility for you. So,
Right.
but it can be done. But there are quite a few different resources to do it.
Yeah, agreed. Thank you, Tony. Yeah, my thoughts are similar. I think it makes perfect sense, Tracy, that we create some sort of for lack of a better term, a quick reference guide for whose every use. I mean, I can think it being beneficial for outside candidates. I think it would be perfectly beneficial for internal candidates who are looking to move from one role to another to understand, the different roles and responsibilities. I mean, I think we don't have to look any further than the Human Resources Board to understand how often, if not regularly, how often people either inside of town government or the general public is confused by what our role is. I mean, it's clearly stated in our preamble, it's clearly stated what our role is, what our goals are. But I think very often, in the moment, people either forget or just aren't aware of what the responsibilities of Newbury's Human Resources Board are, what are the limitations of its responsibility, so forth and so on. So if people struggle with it in terms of the HR board, there's reason to assume that people may struggle with it in terms of other pieces of the organization. So I think we all seem to be in agreement here. I think, we can wait to get John Ferrara's input on it, but at least based on what I'm hearing, it sounds like something that is a worthwhile exercise. Tony makes a good point. We don't have to reinvent the wheel in every instance here. There are things that are fairly self-explanatory, but it would be nice to have a reference card available so that if the general public says, well, I know I need to speak to somebody in the finance organization, but I'm not sure who covers X. Sometimes it's clearly defined, payroll is payroll is payroll, but there may be things that aren't as clearly defined in the org chart that require some assistance, and it might help the public, cut a step or two in terms of getting to the right resource, if it's a time-sensitive matter. So just in general, I think it's a great idea, and I would like us to help Tracy and take that on if the rest of the board agrees. I don't think it's something that requires a vote, but it sounds like we're all in agreement that it's a worthwhile endeavor, and we're happy to help. Is that fair?
I expound a little bit on that too. It might be helpful. I don't know what format we're looking at, but if it's an electronic document built behind the organizational chart that shows the structure,
Yep.
you could attach links to any appropriate documents you want within that block. You
Right.
can say, I want to know what the selectmen do, and then behind that, you can, rather than have a whole document referencing states or what laws or ordinances or whatever, you can have that. It can go on,
Right.
a lot easier. I don't know if
Yep.
it's going too big or what you're looking at, but there's a lot of possibilities.
What I was hoping for, and I know who the guy is to do all that
Oh,
program.
Damn it.
That's above my pay grade.
Sue is very, very good at her IT duties.
No, that wasn't who I was thinking.
No, but it's actually not
Well-
difficult, and it might be very, very helpful for you because it's a
Yeah.
real quick way, to get the information you want without having it, too much.
Exactly, that would be ideal.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement here. Tracy, would you like us to form a subcommittee and get cranking on this right away? Is it time sensitive?
It's not time sensitive. It's just one of those things that, frequently I thought, oh, it would be good if we had this. So,
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
really not time sensitive, but if you're.
I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, folks, but I don't think we have any subcommittee worthy issues, other subcommittee worthy issues to discuss or to address at least in the next month. So, what I should do is take the opportunity to speak to John Ferrara about this, make sure he's up to speed, get his thoughts on it before we move ahead. And after I've spoken to John, I'll plan accordingly and reach out, make sure that we're in compliance with open meeting law, of course, but at the same time, reach out so that we can move ahead on this, and whether we have to wait for our next meeting to create the subcommittee or not, I'll check on, but at least we can start the process in earnest and help Tracy with both the fundamental org chart that she's talking about, the blocks, if you will, as well as the supporting data behind it. Okay, Tracy, you good with that?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, very good, thank you. No other discussion on that?
Nope.
Okay, I'm not aware of any other matters. Is there anything else that any of the board members would like to bring up by way of old or new business? Diane?
Nope. No.
John?
Nope, good.
Tony?
Nope, I'll sit.
All right, I do not have any myself. So with that, let's confirm that the date of our next meeting is, I believe it's Monday, September the 28th at 4 p.m. As of now, does that work for all present?
Yes.
Okay, and Tracy, as always, we're happy to have you join us to talk about any current issues or any needs you have as town administrator. Feel free to join us. Just let us know in advance if you'd like to be present in the meeting. And with that in mind, is there a motion to adjourn?
So
I'll
move.
make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Diane? I'm taking a roll call here. I'm not taking any chances. Diane? Are you ready to adjourn?
I am.
John?
Yes, I am.
Tony?
Yes.
Mark, yes. We are adjourned. Thank you all.
We'll see you.
Good night.